I will read the Law Day proclamation. Whereas President Dwight Eisenhower in 1958 proclaimed May 1 as Law Day, being a day of dedication to the principle of government under laws. And whereas we in 2026 want better to understand and appreciate the manifold virtues of such a government. And whereas we believe that the liberty, justice, and equality under law that the president chose to honor has enduring and timeless value. Now, therefore, I, James S. Loving, Mayor of the City of McPherson, Kansas, do hereby proclaim May 1, 2026 as Law Day and encourage people of all ages in our community to engage in activities that express their shared dedication to the rule of law. Dated the 7th day of April, 2026.
Second that.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes.
After signing the Constitution, Ben Franklin came out of the assembly room. He had somebody ask him whether he and the other men that we call the founding fathers had chosen a republic or a monarchy to govern the new country. And his most famous line is that he replied, "A republic, if you can keep it." A republic is a place, we get it mixed up with democracy all the time because they're so closely interrelated. But in both of those systems, and in the very first line of the Constitution, is we the people. We the people make the choices.
So I view democracy as, you have the government, which is really the people. And the people every election cycle, based on information they get, they vote, they elect the people. So whatever they elect is what the government is. So it's very important that they understand what's happening in their own community, so the local government can make laws that make sense. So I think the role of news, the role of journalism in society, is to continue to provide common fact base for the people, that we continue to go to elections, we continue to be informed, and we're not gonna all agree. And in fact, I hope we don't agree. But our system it only works if we have a common set of information. We're informed with real information.
So, the rule of law day, to me, I guess, is the understanding or the opportunity to be able to understand the law. And I really think that's where public libraries come in. We are free for everyone, and we have everything from children's books to adult books to we even have an entire collection of law books dating back to the late 1800s from Kansas law. So the public library's mission is to enrich, inspire, and enlighten. We do it through a collection of programs, the collection itself, and our staff. We have lots of resources online as well. I just think it's access at this point. We are nonpartisan, not bipartisan. We are not partisan. We will not help you pick a side, but we'll definitely give you information on both. For this rule of law day, I think just getting people in and realizing that we check out over 130,000 items a year. We can find different items. We can do lots of things that I don't think they think we do. Our library specifically is 125 years old next year. And we have law books and different things that predate us even. I would say high schoolers especially, like, you're being asked to do a lot. And you're about to be asked to do a lot more. And I mean, at 18, you can go fight in a war. It is easy as a high schooler to get roped into things online because you guys have lived only online, most of you. So I think it's just a matter of realizing that there's the fact checking that also has to go on.
Strong options will bring individuals in a community together. They will have a goal to bring some positive changes to their world. and others will get motivated to be involved. And in our country, we have a fair, systematic way to put out our opinions into action with the voting process.
I have a general practice. I do a lot of litigation, which is a very broad term for individuals or businesses suing one another for various things. So you have to uphold those ethical standards, and you're required to do that in court as well. You're also required to be an advocate for your client, whatever that might look like. And so your job is to be prepared to research and know the law and how the law applies in your particular situation, and then advocate for your client in an ethical manner in front of the court. And then the court, a lot of the times, is the one who's making the decision about whatever needs to be determined. And there's different rules that you're required to follow or should follow. And those rules help keep the guardrails on the litigation. So everyone understands what rules to follow and how it should be applied, so that each case may have a factually different scenario, but you know, how, for example, how to introduce a document, how to set a hearing, how to file something with the court so that the court can address your issue.
I teach a course here at McPherson College called Philosophy of Law, and in that class I talk about the rule of law in pretty great detail. One reason is that the rule of law ensures that cases are decided on general principles rather than on a case-by-case basis. So when you go to court or when you are confronted by a police officer, it's imperative that the court or the officer is going to respond to your case in the same way that they would respond to other similar cases, not act in a completely different, arbitrary way. The rule of law ensures that the laws are intelligible to the individual, not perhaps immediately, but at least with the assistance of lawyers, that the rules are intelligible. There cannot be a law, for example, stipulating that I fly around this room. And the rule of law guarantees that the law only demands of you what you are able to do. Every person is subject to the law, that no one can place themselves above the law. Everyone is bound by and is equal before the law.
Police force will strengthen the rule of law in the way that you need the ability to enforce the law and enforce so in a justice fashion. Basically going by what is the rule of law, by the way of law, the way it is written, following along with us doing so in a way that's going to protect the public in their best interest. That's the most key component, is just trying to protect the public. A lot of it boils down to culture and the way that we look at certain laws and the way it's constructed, because our laws are not as similar as maybe in like Germany. And so it can have a difference in the way that the law is written, and the way that we follow it is of course different. We don't stop every single person who's jaywalking on the street. But when you look at the culture of in somewhere like Japan, if somebody is jaywalking, you will be written a citation for such. And it just, I think, boils down to the way that society is molded, of which laws are important, which laws we pay attention to, what is the factor that's going to get the most attention to you. Because something that could be very damaging to one's social appearance, or something that could be damaging to someone's personal life or social life, could have a huge impact depending on what had occurred for what crime. With law ever changing, it can impact the way that we start to look at things, or allowing for change in the first place for law. Because again, there is the way that it is written, and there's the way that also can be interpreted. Whenever we are working certain crimes, we need to be able to uphold a higher standard and do our best as to protect the public. We're trying to create model citizens. We're trying to be in unity as best as we can, and trying to do what is right. And the rule of law helps and establishes some of those things to put us in the right direction.
And it's a part of that process that we agree to respect those laws or work to change those laws. When law is the ultimate authority, it protects all of us. It can't be just arbitrary whim. And that rule of law, as Ben Franklin was pointing out, and all of the founding fathers believed in, is something worth preserving and protecting. I do a couple of little simulations with the classes about how fragile the belief in that system of government can be, and if we don't value it, if we don't use it, if we don't maintain it, it's just paper. A lot of people, a lot of government teachers that I've talked to, like to call it parchment barriers. Without that belief in what we're doing and its value, it's really not much protection against the kind of arbitrary rule by force that we'd escaped in Europe. You can see it in pretty basic things. We post speed limit signs everywhere, and they're about as effective as enforcement or people's belief that they matter. And so, I try to model a lot of that in the same ways. And really for this class, teaching a government class or a constitution class, it's critically important. If the words don't matter, the words don't matter. It is that belief that law matters that makes the whole thing work.